Hey, what's up, everyone? Here we are back for another tournament here. This is the Touchdown Tournament and Master Division. Going to jump in here to the first hole. Drivable par 4 here. So let's see what wind they give us, and that basically dictates the way that I like to go about doing this. First thing you'll notice is how long it sometimes takes to match certain opponents. And, another thing is you'll see that the matchmaking for the tournaments can be dependent upon, is there an available replay in the K for them to give you. Here you can see we were able to grab one here. Assuming this isn't a live match. It was a pretty long wait. Let's see what we have here. So a straight tailwind. So you're going to have two approaches here, kind of competing ways to do this. One of the things that you can do is you can rough bump this here. It's typically very little top spin when you do it this way. Maybe one or two bars. And it's going to be very dependent upon where you land. So trying to visualize that land zone, but you'll see you won't have to do any curl when you go at it this way. So it does make for kind of an easier setup. However, the different winds between, say, 10 and 12 miles per hour can kind of dictate, a certain degree of power that you need to go about. So it can be a little bit challenging to go for that shot. One of the things that I've always done is I've essentially just tried to, play the wind. It looks like I have at least 11 or 12 rings to the bunker just by judging, pulling up. And one of the things that you'll see is I might position myself just a little bit. I'm going to go almost 6 bars here. You'll see that I position myself just a little bit more to the right, because when I curl this, it's going to kind of bend over. And you'll also see that I'm pulling back just a slightly bit more, and make sure that you don't add any power. And obviously, you don't want to clip that tree either, but it looks like that's just a bit too much on the curl, just a touch, and also not quite enough backspin. Might as well go and crank that. From that third tee box, that's a pretty unusual wind. So somewhere around 6.5 is going to be just a little bit. I'm not sure why that happened. But foremost, the most important thing that you're going to need to know is that tee shot. And just, doing some slight modifications to what I did there. It looks like I may have curled that just a tad too much because it did get to the left of the pin. But the number one thing that I'd like to change is I'd like to, maybe just crank up the backspin just a little bit more. But, additionally, I can also land another ring or two forward as well. So if I was to, pull back on my starting target there, my backspin amount isn't necessarily the problem. It's more about where my first and second bounce is made. If I was to back those up and they were to come in just a little bit more shallow, it might have been right on the pin there. So, keep in mind that I was playing at least one per ring there on an Epoch 7, maybe even a little bit more. I probably tried to adjust for 12, 13 rings there on an 11.5 wind. So keeping that in mind, 0.9 per ring. If I had an Epoch 5 or 6, for example, maybe I'd do 1 per ring spot on, and it should be pretty good. So keep all that in mind. Good luck, and I'll see you guys on number 2.